Finally, after a long 3 months, the NBA regular season is back. It starts tomorrow. It's only right if I do my NBA record predictions for every team today. Before I start the video, I want to say, don't get upset if I say your favorite team's not making the playoffs, because I'm the same guy who said this. First one is Celtics will win the championship. And also, just because I put your team at a 4th seed does not mean I think they're the 4th best team in the conference. For example, I think the Clippers are the best team in the Western Conference, but I don't have them at the 1st seed because of resting PG and Kawhi. Now let's start off with the Western Conference because in my opinion, it's more exciting. For the 1st seed, I got the Denver Nuggets. If there's one thing you gotta know about me, it's that I value depth over stars for the regular season. Now in the playoffs, stars win you games. But in the regular season, when you have 2 starters fouled out, your whole starting lineup's played 40 minutes, you need to trust the second unit to close out the game. And the Denver Nuggets are the only team with 8 starting caliber players. That's why I have them first. For the 2nd seed, I have the Los Angeles Lakers. I believe the Lakers bench is actually better than the Clippers bench. For the first time in like 8 years, LeBron has an offseason that's starting earlier than mid-June. He's never played with a big man as talented as Anthony Davis. I think the Lakers are going to be really good this year. But keep in mind, I said the same thing last year, and we saw what happened. For my 3rd seed, I have the other team in LA, the Clippers. Yes, PG and Kawhi, they're going to rust a ton. But I still think they can win a bunch of games with just one of them in the starting lineup. I think their bench is a little overrated, but Lou and Montrez will carry that bench and their roster is solid from top to bottom. For the 4th seed, I have the Utah Jazz. Now, this might be controversial. I could see them as a 1st seed, but I could also see them as a 6th seed. Problem with them, they have too many questions surrounding them. Yes, they have great shooting. But do they have enough defense? I would say no. Do they have enough length? I would say no. Do they have enough guard depth? I would say no. Too many questions surrounding them for them to be higher than 4th. 5th seed, I have the Houston Rockets. Now their starting lineup is arguably the best in basketball, no doubt about it. But their bench is horrible. Their best bench player, Gerald Green, he's out for the season. If your best bench player is Austin Rivers, you can be higher than a 5th seed in the West, no matter how good that starting lineup is. 6th seed have the Portland Trail Blazers. Without Nurkic, the Blazers simply are not a very good basketball team. Their second unit is mediocre at best. I don't know how they're going to get it done without Nurkic for half the season. I think that's a big blow to them. 7th seed have the San Antonio Spurs. I trust Greg Popovich to get this team to their 20th something straight playoff appearance. They did it last year, and now they have Lonnie Walker and DeJounte Murray back. 8th seed have the Sacramento Kings. They're a very solid team. They have a solid starting lineup. They have a solid bench. They're just a very solid team that's young and they have nowhere to go but up. They barely missed the playoffs last year, although the record will show otherwise. Real NBA fans know that this team will make the playoffs this year. 9th seed, man, this is going to be controversial. I have the Golden State Warriors. Now, before you click off the video, let me explain why. I know this is very controversial, but no joke, they have the worst defending backcourt in the league. Steph Curry and D'Angelo Russell, who are they going to stop? Their bench is atrocious. I do not understand how people say this team will make the playoffs. They don't even have Klay Thompson for half the season. 10th seed have the Pelicans. Zion won't play more than 50 games this year. I can assure you that. He's a more athletic, injury-prone Julius Randle, and I am sticking with that statement like I've stuck to it for at least 2 months now. Look, the rest of their team, are they good? Yes, but they lack shooting even with Etuan Moore and JJ Redick. 11th seed have the Mavericks. Luka and Kristaps should be a great duo. Both people who can handle the ball, should be a great pick and roll. But the rest of their team is not that good. Number 12 have the Thunder. I don't know what else to say other than they're just a bad team. Even with or without Chris Paul, this is not a good basketball team. 13 of Minnesota. They have some players with trade value, and I don't expect them to do this, but if I were in their position, I would. I would trade all the players with trade value, rebuild around Cat, Jarrett Culver, and next year's lottery pick. 14 Grizzlies. They're gonna have an exciting duo with Ja and Jaren. Gonna be exciting to watch, but don't expect them to win many games. Last and certainly least, the Phoenix Suns. The freaking Suns. A potato could run this team better than their GM. This freaking potato could run the team better than their GM. They're just horrible. Now on to the Eastern Conference. First seed of the Sixers. The Sixers will win the finals this year. They don't need Joel playing 70 games. They have Al Horford. Josh Richardson is extremely underrated. They have the best starting lineup in the league. The Sixers are for sure going to be the first seed. They're the real deal. Second seed of the Bucks. You can make an argument they're better than last year, but regardless, it's safe to say this isn't biased. They got the MVP. They got the most overpaid player in the league. They got an amazing bench, and they're just going to build off of last year. Third of the Celtics. The Celtics are going to be better than what most people think. Their duo or trio of Kemba, Jason Tatum, Jaylen Brown, that's a pretty good trio for the Eastern Conference. They also have a pretty solid bench. They're going to shock most NBA fans this year. Fourth of the Brooklyn Nets. The Nets are a decent team without KD, but decent is good enough to be the fourth seed in the East. And I'm 99% confident KD will be back this year. His injury is supposed to take 9 months. I don't know why people say 12 months. And this team with KD can be a finals team. Fifth of the Pacers. They're the definition of decent. They're mediocre every year. They made some moves to make the finals this year. I don't buy it. Sixth of the Miami Heat. I could see them as a third seed. I could see them missing the playoffs. They have a great young core of Adebayo, Hero, Waiters, and they have vets, Jimmy, and Goran leading the way. Seventh seed of the Orlando Magic. I expect big things from Mo Bamba and Markelle Fultz this year. And they just have everything you need. Shooting, depth, rebounding, you name it, they got it. 8, I have the Pistons. I like this Pistons team more than I did the last couple of years. They have a top 10 starting lineup in the league. The question is, can their bench keep them in games? Which against most teams, I think they can. 9, I have the Atlanta Hawks. They have great depth at every position. They got the next Steph Curry and Trae Young, the next Kawhi Leonard and DeAndre Hunter, a lot of other solid young pieces. If they trade for an all-star center, they will make the playoffs. If they trade for someone like Kevin Love, they will make the playoffs. 10th of the Chicago Bulls. They have no depth, but their starting lineup is decent, even though it's somewhat injury prone. And with a rebuilding team in the East, you can make the 10th seed. 11 of the Knicks. The Knicks are a team, if you just look at their roster, you think they can make the playoffs. But they don't have that go-to guy to win them those games. You could say Dennis Smith Jr. I think they'll keep them in a lot of close games, but I don't think they're going to win many of those close games. 12, I have the Raptors. I don't see how people have this team making the playoffs. Their team is mediocre at best. They're going to trade anyone with value by the trade deadline. This is now a rebuilding team. 13 of the Cavs. This is a top 10 team offensively, but the problem is defensively they're bottom 3. I hope they trade Kevin Love and continue rebuilding. 14 of the Wizards. This is just a really bad team. Like a really, really bad team. Once they trade Bradley Beal, they'll have nothing. 15 of the Hornets. Terry Rozier should be a really good backup point guard. Instead, he's the Hornets' best player. I wonder how that's gonna work. And with that being said, that's gonna be the end of the video. Let me know how you liked it. Let me know how excited you are for this NBA season. Thanks for watching. Subscribe, hit the notification button, share the video, and I'll see you guys next time.